It's Synthiamolina.
Thank you.
Rolling.
All right, he's had his say.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when you're ready.
Speak.
Okay. So Synthia, tell me about Peter Drucker.
Oh, he's made a huge difference in my life. I guess the first time I met him, I was 22 years old, and I'd been in the workforce for about 4 years. I was just starting out as a student at the Drucker School, and I walked into the classroom and I thought, boy, he's an old guy. And I sat in the front row. I wanted to get a good feeling for my professors, so that was something I typically did. And he started speaking, and I was really sort of intense and focused at that time in my life. And the way he spoke was very unusual. He didn't have the authoritative manner that some of the other professors did. He sat on a table in the front row. His legs were kind of dangling while he was talking. And he started talking in about 15 different directions. And I remember thinking, they've got some senile old guy teaching at this school. I couldn't believe it. But I was a diligent student, so I listened. And he started down 15 different paths in his speaking about everything from the London fire, the Chicago fire, to Japanese art and world history and medieval times, and I thought he's completely lost it. I just couldn't follow. But he managed in that class and in every discussion I heard from him since to weave all of those themes together perfectly at the end of the class, and to derive from all of those themes and all of those world experiences some brilliant insight about management and how to be more effective. And from that moment on, I had a great amount of respect for the guy.
It's the birds.
I know.
It's a Hitchcock.
I know. But it's all right. We'll just keep going.
Okay.
So tell me about some of your just dealings with him.
He's a frank guy. He's a nice guy. There was a time when I was director of the Drucker MBA program, and I would call faculty to ask them when they would be able to teach. And Peter was always very accommodating. He would say to me, when do you need me to teach? And I learned through that his philosophies about having sensitivity to human needs and societal needs and having a greater purpose were philosophies that he not only spoke about but actually lived. That was very inspiring for me. He's also, in the classroom, he was a little bit abrupt and rough with his students. He used to say, people with his accent, I can't do the accent, but people what you don't understand is, and he would just tell us right straightforward what it was we were missing. He has a tremendous wealth of knowledge about, a dozen different disciplines, can speak insightfully on healthcare and politics and art and automobile industry, and just switch easily between all these topics. And he just understands the world. He understands the way the world works. He understands people and the way they work. He's a great guy. His wife is a wonderful woman, too. I think she's been a large part of his success. Very bright woman ahead of her time. And I think it says a lot about him that she has 2 degrees. I think one of them is in physics. And to me, it says a lot about him that he married a woman like that, and that marriage has lasted for the number of years, and all those children and so on. He's obviously a man who is committed to a core set of principles and lives by them both at home and at work.
So is he a humble man?
He's humble in the sense that he's trying to be something, he's trying to create a value greater than value for himself. I think he is absolutely aware that he's more informed and more insightful than a lot of people, and he doesn't express that in a way that's demeaning of other people. He expresses it in a helpful way, in a frank way. He's humble in the sense that he's not thinking of himself, he's thinking of other people. Yeah, I guess he is humble.
But he's also very intellectually very self-confident.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and he's when he doesn't know something, he's very quick to admit it. And when he makes mistakes, he's very quick to admit it. I've heard him talk about, he came up with a concept at one time, managing by objectives, and it became one of these great management fads, and a lot of organizations embraced this and butchered it, and butchered their employees in the process. And he used to say, I just wish I had never come up with that concept, that had never gotten out there. I think he was trying to instill in all of us a deeper set of understandings about management. I think he's very much, maybe not opposed to, but just understands that real change doesn't come through management fads. It comes through observation of what's already happened that has yet to have full impact. And he's very interested in having people have the awareness and the open-mindedness to make those observations. And I think, that particular phrase that he came up with that turned into a management fad detracted from that. And I think that hurt him. I think he was very deeply disturbed by it.
Because it's not really, didn't come off as humanistic.
Right. It became a technique or a mechanism for manipulating people as opposed to a way to evaluate a situation and try to create a better result.
But he's very much talking always about performance.
Yes, he's
results.
very bottom line oriented, absolutely. I had one of the nice things that I observed about him. I remember there was a conference some time ago, and they were talking about crisis management in that conference. And Peter, a lot of different professors got up and they spoke about this organization in crisis or that organization in crisis, and what the companies did to change in the leadership and so on. And it was all very inspiring and encouraging. And then Peter got up and he said, people, what you must understand is if the company is already in crisis, it's the wrong company to look at. And he just has brilliant insights like that. To me, that's very bottom line oriented. You look at the simple facts of the situation and what the influences are, whether they're human influences or technological influences, social, political, spiritual, emotional. What are the influences and how are they manifesting themselves, and what does that mean for effective management?
So for all his brilliance, he's very commonsensical.
Yeah, I think he is. He's very commonsensical. He's a whole person. It's hard to, I think one of the things that I don't want to do is try to package what Peter Drucker is, because I think the packaging itself would be an injustice to who and what he is. He doesn't have a particular approach to anything except that he's open to everything, and that he will draw whatever answers are appropriate from whatever sources are the sources of the answers. He doesn't come up with formulas for things. He's an observer. He's a thinker, and he's effective.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.